Welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm your host, Pete Mezzetti, sitting here with Portland First Selectwoman Susan Bransfield. Susan, welcome. How are you?
Good to be here, Pete.
Good to see you. It's been a while.
Yeah, just a little while.
It has been.
Good to come back.
Thanks for coming down. What's new in the town of Portland since you and I have seen each other last?
Well, there's this virus that's going around that we've been very busy containing, COVID-19. Okay. We have some other things going on too, some road work that's going on. We're improving one of our roads on Maple Road. We did some drainage work. We've put in new sidewalks, which we're real proud of.
Excellent.
People are enjoying those. And we had repaired last season, and we're enjoying it this summer. A new road, Spring Street's been replaced.
Okay.
So a lot of public works projects. And effective the 20th of July, we're going to open a new recreational complex.
Really? Tell us about it.
We're really proud of that, Pete. It'll include 2 soccer fields, 2 baseball diamonds for Little League, and it'll also include, and I've seen it, it's really nice, a playground for youngsters all the way from very young to about 12 years old. There's a lot of climbing, and also stuff for little kids. And then we also have a splash pad. Now that will be a little delayed opening because of COVID-19 circumstances. But we also have an adult fitness center that will be there outside along a walking track. You can walk around the soccer fields and the baseball diamonds and use some fitness equipment that we installed. There's also a bocce court and some horseshoe pits.
Very nice.
It's located on Route 17, Gospel Lane in Portland. And I think your viewers will enjoy it if they come up and either watch a game next season. There won't be any games this season.
No.
But next season, the grass has to mature. So in some ways, it's worked out well. The grass is still growing in and getting stronger every day. But we're real excited about that. It's something we've been working probably 20 years to get this to this point.
Nice. So Susan, tell us a little bit about how the COVID has affected the town of Portland and the way you guys run normal day-to-day operations.
Well, you know, as I'm remembering, Friday the 13th was the day, 13th of March, that our schools decided they would close. And the town offices closed, I want to say, on the 18th of March. And we closed to the public. However, from that day forward, all of the town employees in town hall, of course all the police, public works, and other departments, all of the staff have been working. So we've been able to service our population very well. And at this point in July, we are still closed to the public, except if you need to come in, you make an appointment, we can certainly make arrangements to meet people and to meet their needs. So at this point, we are being very conservative in our approach to COVID-19. Watch the news every day, and other states are having great difficulty. Connecticut's doing pretty well.
Yes.
Before tonight's show, I checked Portland's statistics.
Yes.
And we showed an increase of 2 positive cases since last Monday. So it's a total of 73 positive cases in Portland for COVID-19 since the start of the counting, which was back in March. And unfortunately, we've had 14 deaths attributable to COVID-19. The numbers have remained somewhat stable the last few weeks. But there was an increase of 2 positive cases, as I said, for this week to week. The week before that, there were no increases. There's an increase in testing in the area, which is good. And I think it gives a certain comfort level to people to know they can go and get a test if they meet certain requirements. And so, you know, we're holding okay, but I think it's because we're wearing masks. We're using the hand sanitizer. People are washing their hands. We're making certain, as we are tonight, to be more than 6 feet apart.
6 feet, exactly.
And, you know, avoiding crowds, avoiding gatherings that would have too many people at them, because that, of course, increases your chances of contracting the illness. I think if we stick with these regulations and rules, we're going to be a whole lot better off than if we don't.
Now, what about what's going on, obviously, on the state level with the special, I believe they might be going in special session?
Yeah, I don't think they've announced the exact date, but because I'm still active in Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, Portland's a member, as is every other town in Connecticut. We're proud to say we stand together and learn together. And they're going to be looking at making absentee ballots perhaps more readily available to everyone in light of COVID-19 for the November election.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
As you know, there is a primary August 11th, and registered Democrats and registered Republicans received an application to apply for absentee ballots for that particular ballot on August 11th for the primary. You don't have to vote absentee, but it is an option for any voter. And COVID-19 is one of the reasons that I know I checked it off, and I plan to use my absentee ballot. It's a good opportunity to see how it works.
Exactly.
You can still vote. The voting in Portland is at our middle school, high school campus. It's going to be held in the cafeteria of the middle school. Previously it had been in the band room, which is just around the corner from the cafeteria. We have a wonderful town clerk, Ryan Curley. He and our registrar of voters are making certain that voting will be as safe as possible, whether it's absentee or it's in person. And back to the special legislative session, so they'll talk about that. And I believe the governor also wants them to talk about police accountability in light of some of the racial equity matters that have besieged us for so long. And they're looking at various ways that we can improve not only the service, but also the equity available to everyone, and make sure that diversity needs are met, training needs are met. I think they're looking at whether or not body cameras will be on all officers, and many, many other things. I looked at the list. There's a long list, and I'm certain that while they may be discussed, in a special session, it's difficult to get a lot of things accomplished. It's usually a short window. So they'll be probably focusing on certain aspects of training, which is important.
And like you said, you got your ballot for the primary. So did I. I got mine. Mine came, I think, Thursday or Friday of last week.
I haven't gotten my ballot yet.
I got my form.
My application.
I got my application, filled it out.
I've voted that way before, only a couple times, because I'm usually in town when elections are held. But, I think it's a good way to, again, be conservative about our approach to disease transmission. And also be smart about it. Make it available for people and make it convenient, and recognize that for some people they feel more comfortable actually attending at the voting booth, and that's okay too.
Now let's talk about the town of Portland and how you guys are involved with CCM. We got to talk about our buddy.
Sure, Joe DeLong, our executive director. He's, in fact, he came on our Zoom Board of Selectmen meeting a few weeks ago. And he and Ron Thomas, who is our deputy director of CCM, spoke. And the reason I invited them is I wanted to talk about how we can do additional training on racial equity, diversity, and things of that nature. And they came on and they talked about some training that they're planning to do for all of the state of Connecticut, and they're talking about including all of New England and New York State, and working with the National League of Cities. Connecticut Conference of Municipalities is a member of the National League of Cities, and I think anytime you can cooperate with your brother and sister towns, your brother and sister states, and come forward with some good information, training, and the ability for all of us to maybe have some discussions on these very, very important issues that face our communities. I think it'll be good. So Joe is busily working on that training program. He also held a recent meeting I attended where we had a presentation on zoning. And zoning in Connecticut has its own approach. There's a state that allows zoning laws to occur.
Okay.
And in each community, as you're familiar, there are planning and or zoning or combined planning and zoning commissions.
Absolutely.
And there are some disparities in the way some of those regulations are put forward in some people's minds.
Okay.
And it's another arena that I think we should take a look at. It's something Portland has looked at. And one thing that I think is attractive is the ability to have something called accessory dwellings within houses.
Okay.
So you have a big house or even a modest size house. Within certain rules, you can have an accessory apartment, which would be available for a family member or perhaps someone else that would need an apartment.
Right.
Something that we changed our zoning on that a while back. We also looked at certain areas of the town. We have a water and sewer and gas lines in our town.
Sure. And
we are able to have some areas that we can have more density. And we are working with our Elmcrest, which is Brainerd Place, and fine-tuning some of the zoning that's going to occur there so that we can build, it's 200 apartments that we're looking at that will go in there, along with some other uses, some commercial use, as well as a coffee shop and a drugstore and things of that sort. So that's something that CCM is looking at.
Okay.
Is there always a better way to do things within municipalities and keep up with the times?
Right. How long have you been first Selectwoman in Portland?
Since 2003.
Okay.
So it's been a few years.
Wow.
Been 17 years I've been first selectman. Yeah. And
you like it?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. It's a pretty exciting job. It's as I always tell people, no day is the same as the day before.
Especially now.
Yes. One of the issues you mentioned, what are some of the issues going on?
Yeah.
And actually, our transfer station is it's so busy right now.
Absolutely.
And I was talking to Bob Shea, who's our public works director, and he said, you wouldn't believe how many people were there on the weekend, during the days. I think a lot of people are cleaning out that garage, maybe the basement or the office, and they need to bring their things to our transfer station. We are very proud of our transfer station. We have very good employees there, and I think people appreciate the ability to recycle as well as get rid of some of their bulky waste and their household garbage.
Absolutely, absolutely. Matter of fact, it's funny you mentioned during the pandemic, you clean out. At my mom and dad's house, we cleaned out. We had got a dumpster rental.
Good for you.
But then, after the dumpster was gone, my dad and I took my mom's Honda Pilot 3 times with cardboard to the transfer station. It's like, okay. My dad was like, yeah, we don't want to put this in the dumpster because then it takes up room. And
that's right.
He's like, let's go.
It's a very, you talk about topics that are of importance and to municipalities. Certainly how we get rid of our waste is very important.
How do we get rid of it?
It
depends.
It depends. It depends on where you live. It depends on what the state is doing.
Right.
DEEP, Environmental Protection, is
absolutely.
Looking at the fact that some of our incinerators, the places that burn, then make electricity. You know, they're aging, and they have a very short window of life remaining. And there's a big push toward trying to not only find good ways to get rid of your waste, but to reduce waste.
Yes.
And that's something we're going to be looking at, whether or not and when, we don't know, but composting is something we'll be looking at. I think some towns in this area may have already done that. Talking with our state rep about how we can reduce waste, because it costs money, Pete. It's expensive to get rid of waste.
Absolutely. Who is your state rep?
Christy Carpino.
Okay.
She represents Cromwell and Portland, and she does a fine job. We work together very well. She and I had a mask
yes.
distribution.
One of those.
A few weeks ago. Went
Nice.
very well. We did it at our post office. She's also helping with getting some food distribution for our town.
Oh, very cool.
Later in this month, and we're going to make that available to families who, everybody needs to eat well. And,
absolutely.
And this dilemma, this COVID-19 issue, has really meant some of our families aren't having the income that they did have. Absolutely. So to be able to make food available is real important.
And I'm sure as being in a small town like Portland, small businesses and your restaurants are affected by this because
yes, they are.
What's going on.
Greatly
as well.
So, yeah. Although I must say, we've adjusted very well in Portland. Our restaurants, pretty much all of them, have some outdoor seating that I think their customers enjoy. They've had drive-by and pick-up since the beginning, continuing with takeout. And I'll add to the fact that we have 3 golf courses in Portland. We have 6 marinas in Portland, and none of those had to close during the COVID-19. So
really?
Social distancing can and does occur when you're golfing.
Absolutely.
Can and does occur when you're on a boat. And certainly here in Westbrook, Clinton area, people are certainly cognizant of that. Boat sales are up, usage is up. Our golf courses have had some of the best months in years. And we're very happy that they've been able to do what they do best, and that's have people outside exercising and within social distancing their friends, and knowing that we're all doing our best under these circumstances.
Now, what are your thoughts on Governor Lamont postponing the phase and then having to basically wait an extra couple weeks?
Yeah, well, I think for some people, they may feel that it was a little too conservative. Yeah. I don't. I think that anytime you can practice all of these prevention regulations, rules, customs, it's becoming a way of conducting ourselves to make certain that we don't go up and hug and kiss everybody anymore. No. We make sure, as I came to the studio tonight, I had my mask on. I think I keep 3 in my pocketbook and at least 2 in my car.
Exactly.
Because
you never know.
You never know.
Right.
And to be very careful, and as I think our governor is being, it's proven that we've stemmed that rise, and we certainly intend to keep it that way.
Absolutely, yeah. We're not going.
I think it was wise just to reduce the numbers of people that gather in groups. I think is very smart, and so I 100% agree what he's doing.
Let's talk a little bit about reopening Portland after the COVID,
right?
And exactly what you guys did. And let's maybe get into a little bit more of a detail.
Well, as I said, the doors are still closed to the general public, other than by appointments.
You got to make an appointment.
And we're very, very strict in making sure people wear their masks, making sure that we have, right outside Town Hall, we have a dispenser for hand sanitizer. We remind people, and I remind employees and my friends, just put your arms out. And you each put your arms out, you'll probably be about 6 feet apart or more from each other. Pretty simple way to keep that disease transmission, of which, the thing that bothers me about this disease is we really don't know the full story of transmission, length of life that the virus has. I'm thrilled to see that some of the treatments have improved since this whole thing began. We don't know that there'll be a vaccination. We certainly hope that it will be. But anytime you're in a group gathering, you should be continuing some of these practices. I used to, years ago, I worked in food service. So we recognize how important it is to keep out of work, and don't go to functions if you're sick or you're not feeling well. I saw the sign outside your door.
Yeah.
If you're having any symptoms, just don't go.
Stay away
home.
from me.
Right. Be smart. Just washing your hands and making sure that you wear a face covering. You know, people in Japan, I know, have been doing this for years, ever since some of their epidemics that they had. It makes sense that when you're in a unknown large gathering that you wear a mask and that you practice good hygiene. But the reopening, some of those things are not going to go away. You're still going to, we will still make sure that we make these practices part of our routine.
Exactly.
And
we don't know what the timeline is going to look like for going back to school.
No, we don't. No. I work closely with, we have a new superintendent of schools. His name is Charles Britton. He just started July 1, 2020. And fortunately,
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, but fortunately he was our director of curriculum and technology. So he's very familiar with our community and has served in other capacities in education. Is a brilliant man and has a very good approach toward making sure everyone's going to be educated in a safe way, and make sure that the children are socially as well as emotionally attended to. The emotional aspects of this COVID-19 are huge. And that's another observation that I'll make as first selectman. We have some folks that are able to be very adaptable, and they're able to change their habits very easily, and they're flexible. And there's other people that find it very challenging and very difficult, and it manifests in certain ways that are difficult for them to cope with. And I encourage anyone that's feeling that way that they reach out to either their town hall, see if they can have somebody to talk to or get some information from, and make a referral to help them, because it's very common that a reaction that you may be feeling toward this COVID-19, and you may not even realize why, but I've talked with many people and been able to put them in touch, whether it's with a counselor or it's with a particular department, because they're very frustrated not being able to get something done in the town. But we're there to certainly give assistance and give that, I think, that word of encouragement that we all need. I mean, getting a message from you, it was great to be invited here tonight.
Oh, absolutely. I figured out, like, I haven't seen Susan in a while, so let's...
Yeah, it normalizes and says, yes, we can still function and do things that we enjoy and communicate and be part of our community.
Exactly. And how big of a town is Portland?
About 9,300 people in our town. So we're a small town. We have a lot of seniors in our town. Over a quarter of the population's probably over 60. And one of the things that I'm happy to say is that we're going to be starting our rides for seniors to go to particularly doctor's appointments. So we have a senior van, and we are making all the necessary arrangements so that one person will be on the van at a time, and we can arrange those appointments so they'll be able to get to the doctors. They call our Waverly Senior Center and make an appointment with Carol or Mary, who's there. And we're also applying for a grant through Community Development Block Grant. We're looking at servicing our seniors in a slightly new way. We've always had some meals, but we're looking to improve our kitchen and get some commercial stove and a good hood, and be able to make some meals, some grab-and-go meals, and maybe some sit-down meals when we're able to do that in a safe way. We feel that's a very important aspect to seniors, and we're also applying for another van so that we'll be able to provide transportation. Yeah, so we'll keep our fingers crossed.
There you go.
All you can do is apply, and if we get the grant, we'll be thrilled to be able to serve our community in a new way.
And obviously, is the senior center open?
Not to the general public.
Not to the general public. Still,
no,
everybody's still closed.
Yep. But again, we're there to help people. We'll be making appointments for rental rebates, and that'll be in August and September. So I invite listeners from Portland to call, and also in other towns as well, to call and make appointments. Rental rebate is a program to help seniors with a certain income, to help them manage their finances. And there's an annual recertification process that we go through. So it's something we'll be making those appointments for.
Tell us a little bit about the program.
It's open to anyone to apply, but most of our seniors that already have participated know that they have to do this. I don't know, Pete, the exact income levels.
That's okay.
But they can certainly find out by going to the senior center. And then they're issued a check to help them defray some of the cost associated with their rents.
Now, if people want more information on the town of Portland, where should they go?
Well, you can always go to our website.
Which is?
You have a computer available, www.portlandct.org. It's all one word, portlandct.org. You can call my office. It's 860-342-6715.
Okay.
I also have an email address, which is on our website.
Yeah.
It's my name, sbransfield@portlandct.org.
Cool.
And we'll put you in touch with whatever you might need.
Cool. Susan Bransfield, thanks for coming down, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
I hope we do. It's been a pleasure.
It has been. Thanks, Susan.
Thanks, Pete.
On behalf of Susan Bransfield, I'm Pete Mezzetti. Thanks, good night, and we'll see you next time.